Welcome to Marketplace Finds, where we show off some crazy and interesting cars for sale, judge what we think of the price, then order it in our tier list.
Give me a hell yeah!
Here we have the Subaru Brat, which if you didn't know is one part truck, one part car, one part absolute disregard for human safety, and one part government loophole. In the US, there's a 25% tariff on imported light trucks. However, the geniuses at Subaru figured out that if they added 2 rear-facing jump seats in the bed, the Brat would count as a passenger vehicle, not a truck. So it only got hit with a 2.5% car tariff. They even came factory with grip handles because nothing says fun for the whole family, like needing something to hold while your uncle rips donuts in a gravel pit. As you've seen from the pictures, it's in need of some love, but thankfully this is a 2-for-1 apocalyptic loyalty bundle coming with this extra one ready for someone to combine into one Super Brat. The seller is only after $2,800, and for that you get the holy grail of mid-80s absurdity, so I think it's a steal. This next car was inspired by Fast and Furious, so much that there's a shrine in the trunk, so you'd think they'd have good taste, but unfortunately they don't. It's a 2013 Kia Optima that apparently has over $10,000 worth of mods on it that somehow made the car less valuable. I mean, let's just point out some of the Wish-supplied modifications it's got, such as not one, but 2 fake tow points, one attached to the grille and one attached to the bumper, ready to do absolutely nothing except rip it off. It's got the classic headlight tint that all the police love, and the cherry on top being the fake carbon over fenders these guys all seem to love, just to name a few. According to the owner, it's got a $3,000 wrap, and hell if I was getting that ripped off, I'd also put a giant 3M sticker on the side just to pretend it was a sponsorship job. The trunk is where things really go off the rails, as we've got a full Fast and Furious shrine, a 10-pound NOS bottle that is of course completely empty, and a screen playing the Fast and Furious menu on loop like it's trapped in Vin Diesel purgatory. Unfortunately, there's no engine bay pictures, but it does have the 250 horsepower 2-litre that's fast enough to get gapped by a stock Camry, but loud enough to get kicked out of an HOA, because of course this genius did a resonator delete and a muffler delete. Moving to the price, you already know this guy's going to be asking for far too much money, and he is, wanting a huge $13,500, a solid $5,000 overprice, and for that and the mods he's earned himself a clown sticker.
Brother,
Introducing the 2007 Chevrolet Corvette Coupe that's got black on black on black in paint. It's got 70,000 miles, a 6-speed manual transmission, and a VIN number that probably curled up and turned to ash, but it's still got a trick up its sleeve. The whole thing looks like a s'more that was left in the campfire, and even the interior was not spared, as this Vette was unfortunately roasted in a garage fire, but somehow, miraculously, it still runs and drives. Yes, you heard that right. Even in its Freddy Krueger-esque state, this beast's LS2 live and breathes to fight another day. As you can see here, it's completely untouched. And what's even better is the seller even provided us with proof of it running after no one believed them that it still ran. The seller was asking for $9,000, and if you think that's insane, someone has already bought it, probably ready to straight swap it into their V6 Camaro. This is a 1993 Buick Roadmaster estate wagon, which is known as the last of the true American family road tripper wagons. This one has undergone so many modifications that it is basically a time capsule for the 90s custom car scene. The body is smoother than a slow jam on cassette, with a paint job that can only be described as pure, era-correct chaos. For the paint, it's got sharp angles and colours I've never seen before, like a laser tag arena and a Taco Bell cup from 1992, got married and had a baby. But hey, it fits this time capsule perfectly and has managed to stay in extremely good condition, and we can't forget about these wheels, as they are probably the most 90s rims I've ever seen. Moving on to the interior, there's so much blue tweed you'd think it was designed by Eiffel 65, covering basically everything except the floor mats and steering wheel. At least the passenger seats get some Barney skin representation. Of course, in the trunk you've got the most 90s stereo installed in existence, with 4 subwoofers that hit harder than your dad's belt in 1998. Under the hood lies a clean and mildly terrifying engine bay, painted bright orange like a warning sign that tastefully includes a blower, so you can bet this big girl scoots if you ask nicely. Moving on to the price, the seller is asking for $14,000, and from the comments I saw was well received given its time capsule-like appearance. This 1994 Hello Kitty Mazda Miata can only be owned by 2 types of people. You've got the goth girls your mum warned you about, or a twink, and it doesn't matter what way you swing, both of them will ruin your life. Because what you're looking at right here is what happens when you spend money on a car instead of a therapist, and I hate to say it, but I kinda rate it. I mean, not many cars can pull off the heart-shaped pop-up headlights and pink wrap like a Miata can, and if there was any car I would want to get run over by an ex-girlfriend with, one with a big cat on the hood would ease the pain just a little bit. It's got purple underglows, which probably look great when you see them driving away after they just keyed your car for talking to a coworker who happened happens to be a woman. On the interior, you've got the classic heart-shaped steering wheel alongside some clean dash and seats, but even better is this little beast is a manual, so if it's been raining, you might be able to get a one-wheel peel going. The seller is asking for $6,800, which is expensive for such a big red flag, but a half-decent price considering Miatas seem to keep going up in price. Alright fellas, buckle up for a ride straight into 1979, and apparently Grandma was still getting hers. This is a 1979 Chevrolet G10 Shorty van, but don't let the size fool you. It might be short on a wheelbase, but it's long on stories, broken hearts, and velvet draped regrets. The paint's not peeling, and the wheels are blacked out, but the moment you see those odd window clovers and the fur draped dash, you know exactly what time it is. Open the doors, and we're talking about a literal couch inside. That couch's mileage might be higher than the van's odometer. Velvet throw pillows, a wall-mounted TV, wood panel trim, carpet that's had plenty of things spilled in it. The pink draped curtains show Grandma's still been ruining marriages after her husband passed. There's even a sunroof with tassels. There's enough fur in here to trigger a Peter sting operation. A chain link steering wheel because Nana was a low-key pimp. The photos even look like they were taken on a camera from the 90s. I'd hate to see what else is on that camera. The van has had 3 owners, but has over 300 bodies. They want $6,800 for this mobile brothel, which is a fair price. Just make sure it gets a deep clean. What started life as a Toyota Celica has been reborn as a 12-foot long rolling muffler tribute, and it's glorious. This isn't just a car, this is performance art, a mobile question mark, and a metallic middle finger to aerodynamics. This goofy thing easily gets more attention than a supercar, and has the police scratching their head on whether this counts as the car still having a muffler or not. There's a steering wheel, some pedals, no carpet or door cards, and the kind of rustic ambience only years of mild neglect can achieve. Don't mind the lack of rollover protection, as this thing probably weighs the same as a tank with all the metal and is probably immune to rolling over. The seller is asking for $1,500, and considering it's somehow street legal, I think it's easily worth it. Here we have what might be one of the weirdest vehicles that was ever put into production. It's a 1996 Hartsu Midget, a cult classic that collectors love. Japanese car fans hoard them, and vehicle shows fight over these things like rare Pokemon cards. And every time one pops up in the States, it's like a unicorn just parallel parked. What you're looking at is a one-seater, 3-cylinder micro truck with a manual transmission, right-hand drive, and the aerodynamic profile of a mailbox with a license plate. The styling is utterly unhinged in the best way possible, with the headlights looking like they're mid-conversation and the spare tyre just interrupted them. Speaking of the tyres, these wheels are about the size of a grapefruit, which fits the tiny body that is only slightly larger than most Amazon packages, so you won't be picking much up with the tiny bed on the back. People will absolutely stop you at gas stations driving this thing, not to ask about the car, but to ask where they can get one for their emotional support hamster. The seller is asking for $8,000, which is honestly a great price, so I won't be surprised if it gets picked up soon. Buckle up and throw on your camo Crocs, because we've struck oil in the form of backwoods brilliance. Introducing the Mudbogger Bug project, a vehicular equivalent of duct tape and dreams that is combining a VW Beetle with an old 4-wheel drive chassis. What chassis that is I don't know, but what matters is that it's got Dana axles, a big old transfer case, and it's all mated to a 360 V8 motor, ready to tear up your local tracks. Well, that would be if it didn't still need some custom drive shafts hooked up, and looking at that frame rust, I'm going to guess there's some nastiness hiding elsewhere. But once it's done, will it be practical? No, not even a little, but you can't lie, it would be a lot of fun. The seller is looking for $2,800, which is a lot more than what I would pay, but considering it's now been listed as pending sale, a local hillbilly is hopefully going to finish this beast off. What if I told you someone looked at a Chrysler PT Cruiser and thought, not retro enough, not slow enough, and not ugly enough? Well, you get this, a 2001 Lido golf cart, the most luxurious way to cruise to your HOA meeting and still get roasted by a 12-year-old on a Razor scooter. Looking like what the Pope would drive around in if the Vatican went bankrupt, this thing tops out at a blistering 23 miles per hour, which is basically like letting a 90-year-old drive a 1,000 horsepower car. Under the rear passenger seats lies the 48-volt electric powertrain among this bird's nest of wires, so it's silent, smooth, and terrified of hills. At just over $5,000, it really pains me to say this, but it's honestly not too badly priced and ready for a lady called Rhonda to snap up. Well boys, I hope you're hungry because today we're cooking up the dumbest, rustiest, most glorious tailgate innovation since someone strapped a propane tank to a cooler. Here we have a 1961 Chevy Impala custom charcoal grill. This grill is definitely home to the coolest dad on the block. All the dads with boring office jobs look on with envy as they could never build something close. Let's be honest, this thing looks like it got dug out of a swamp. The Impala body is so rusty, if you leave it out in the rain one more time, it's going to decompose. The taillights still work, which is good because you'll need people to see you wobbling at 43 miles per hour down the highway with this death trap of a cookout casket trailing behind you. Despite the rust, the grille is extremely clean, The seller says it can cook over 20 burgers and hot dogs at the same time. Just be wary, it comes with a side of tetanus. The photo of him grilling is glorious. It's priced at $2,200, which is a bit steep for a grill without all the modern bells and whistles. However, for the engineering we're going to give it the ribbon of approval. Now past the lighter fluid. Behold a 1979 Dodge Custom Sportsman that is either owned by a conspiracy theorist, a serial killer, or a slightly insane hunter. But let's be real, it's probably someone who's all of those. Once a van used to steal kids outside of schools, this one has been massively modified to hit the off-road tracks and is built like a mobile hunting lodge. The front end has more steel than a harbour freight loading dock with a huge winch bar and enough auxiliary lights just in case you ever wanted to blind a deer before shooting it. Down the sides, it's got an awning, some recovery gear, and even some gardening tools that have definitely buried a body or two. It even has a snorkel, some upgraded solid axles, and 37-inch beadlock rims, just in case you want to show up any grocery getter Jeep owners. Step inside, and you might get confused thinking you're back outside, as it's covered in even more camouflage, as if deer have X-ray vision or something. Other than that, it's got a small kitchen, an AC unit, and even a small toilet, which is honestly quite a sweet setup, if you don't mind the serial killer scheme. Unfortunately, we got no photos of the engine, but it's got the 360 V8 engine, so as long as your hunting ground is within 100 miles of a gas station, you should be fine. So, if you're looking to disappear into the woods, survive nuclear winter, or just to get a bit further into the hunting grounds, it can be yours for $7,300, which honestly sounds like a decent price considering the axle swap and beadlocks. This is a 1999 Chrysler Plymouth Prowler go-kart, and if you've ever looked at a full-size Prowler and thought it needs less power, fewer seats, and more purple, then your chariot awaits. And you might be thinking, what's so special about this? Well, this is one of the very few, extremely rare, produced by Chrysler and promo carts that were originally sold through the dealerships in the late 90s. These things are so rare, I could only find 2 that have sold in the last 10 years. It's powered by a mighty 5 horsepower. This bad boy makes just enough grunt to get you through the neighborhood, provided the terrain is flat, the wind is calm, and gravity is in a cooperative mood. Anything more than a slight incline? You're walking, brother. All this mini Mopar glory can be yours for just $2,000, which is an insanely good steal, considering one sold last year for just over $9,000. What you're looking at is a 1984 Gondola from the New Orleans World's Fair. Somehow, this relic from a failed event ended up sunbaked and decaying in someone's lawn. This gondola once soared above the Mississippi River as part of a nighttime fireworks display, giving attendees a breathtaking view of the water and the sinking ship that was the 1984 World's Fair. The event was such a financial disaster that they just gave up on ever trying again. The fair closed, but the gondola ride stayed open for a while longer, but eventually meeting the same fate. One round trip was a 4-minute thrill, carrying up to 2,000 people an hour at $3.50 a pop. The fair cost around $350 million, but didn't break even as only about half the projected visitors actually showed. The seller claims there were originally 53 gondolas. You're looking at number 15 of those lost pods. They can even deliver it to you by tractor. Apparently, people use these for advertising and place it outside their businesses. I'm sure it's going to show up on your favorite YouTube channel on a 4-wheel drive rig with a V8 strapped to it. They want $1,100 for this rusty piece of history. However, its significance in history is fairly minor, so I don't think it's worth close to that much. Thanks for watching another episode of Garage Gold. If you enjoy our videos, make sure to like and subscribe as we're trying to grow the channel. Otherwise, if you find a crazy car, you can send it to us on Instagram. Thanks for watching, I'll see you guys in the next episode.